Boss organizes a poker game to determine end-of-year bonuses. I am not the original poster. Original post in Ask a Manager. Reminder: do not comment on linked posts. Trigger warnings. None. Less than. Mood spoilers. Frustration. Disappointment. Relief. Satisfaction. Less than. An NBSP. ### Boss organizes a poker game to determine end-of-year bonuses. October 6, 2021. Is it legal for my husband's boss to have his employees play poker to determine their bonuses? The backstory begins last winter, when a declaration was made by the owner of the company, Michael, that Christmas poker would be played in the office. So Michael walks in like Santa Claus with thousands of dollars worth of quarters in his jolly sack. And the Hunger Games of bonuses ensues. Coworker was pitted against coworker, and they duked it out for coins. My husband is apparently decent at poker and came home with about $1,000. Yes, in quarters. And a few new video games that he will never play. Most others weren't so lucky, and the bottom people were given about $200 in consolation prizes, though they had worked there much longer than my husband. I suppose it feels different this year because last year he was new, and didn't even know if he had worked there long enough to merit any sort of bonus. But this year, he did some critical work for the company and was told he would get a big raise and bonus a few months ago. Then he was told that finances were tight for the company, so not to plan on any pay increases until next year. Now we find out that Michael used company money he could have used to compensate my husband on an extremely expensive poker prize for this year. A used Hummer. Does he have ground to stand on legally from this experience? And if it isn't, what do? File a report with the Better Business Bureau? An NBSP. #UPDATE. Boss organizes a poker game to determine end-of-year bonuses. December 19, 2022. This is an update to the Christmas bonuses determined by poker with a promised grand prize of a used Hummer. I wanted to know if it was legal, or if my husband had any recourse. The advice was helpful, though it was disappointing that we were quite limited in what we could do. Regardless, the story that shook down is moderately fun to tell. Spoiler: my husband quit. I sent the email while my husband was hard at work gambling, so there wasn't much we could do then. He came home with a $25 music gift card. The boss's number 2 talked him out of buying the used Hummer. Everyone let out a sigh of relief, which resulted in the boss being prickly all evening about his employees not appreciating such a great opportunity that they missed out on. My husband saw that as the nail in the coffin of many other issues, like the poor compensation, and started to job search. We thought that was the end of the Christmas bonus sequel. With a new sunrise brought a new great idea. The boss decided it was so much fun that they should do it again. In a month. At that point we began studying the comments people left on the poker post. A few commenters suggested my husband begin using his work time to study poker. It was tempting, but my husband was responsible for upcoming deadlines and couldn't swing it without leaving the company in the lurch. And he still needed the job, at least for the time being. Another group of commenters mentioned looking at whether there was disparate impact among protected groups and whether or not there were accommodations for religious people. For example, Mormons doctrinally do not believe in gambling. We know because my husband and I were in the process of leaving the Mormon church. We were tempted to play the religion card because the boss thought my spouse was still Mormon. But the boss actually had access to check and influence the worthiness status of my husband if anything seemed off because of his leadership position. The boss was quite disapproving of people leaving. And of course, much worse religious discrimination happens where we live in Utah all the time that goes unchecked. so we aborted the mission. My husband decided the night of gambling part 3 he just wasn't going. The boss was very upset, and tried to make my husband feel bad by sending videos of matchbox races for money. The regret we must have felt. The cherry on top. My husband had started interviewing and accepted a new job before the third gambling night. The job didn't start for another 10 months. Big Four accounting. And my husband appropriately waited until the final 2 weeks of work to give his boss notice. It was glorious. The boss freaked out. He sent via text, "Name your number and we'll pay you whatever you want." My husband politely declined. The boss then repeatedly called and asked him if he was a bad boss and said he just felt so insecure with my husband leaving. My husband had been working max 10 hours a week the past year to finish his work. Left ample documentation. And still, his boss did not know how to hire someone to file this particular simple tax form. It was a moment of sweet comeuppance. As a side note, I am also the wife in the playroom from the surveillance post in 2020. Post I submitted yesterday. Readers may be happy to hear that I am only a year out from graduating with a 4.0 GPA and a degree in science communication and chemistry. After that, I will begin writing and illustrating science-themed children's books. I frequently read the comments on my post to remind myself that internet strangers liked my writing. And motherhood doesn't have to be my entire identity. It is a source of inspiration and motivation to me. So thank you for the virtual support. Allison and Co. Cheers from a person who now occasionally enjoys an alcoholic toast. May your year be merry and full of bourbon-fueled bonuses. An NBSP. Reminder, I am not the original poster. This is the same guy from the surveillance post? So this was the job with warning signs, but the benefits outweighed the risks. Husband seems to have bad luck with jobs. This guy just can't find a good place to work. $1,000 would be 100 rolls. Or 50 pounds of quarters. He needs to file workman's comp for straining something. What do? File a report with the Better Business Bureau? Got a good chuckle out of that. Whoever the PR person was at the BBB all those years ago who convinced seemingly the whole damn country that they are anything more than a pre-internet Yelp scam prototype needs to be enshrined into some marketing hall of fame or something. People read bureau and, not surprising, assume government agency. How about, I don't know, the Department of Labor? As a Utahn, none of this shocks me. This place is swimming with libertarian tech bros who would 100% see a poker game as a wonderful way to distribute company bonuses. And this being the same woman from the surveillance post totally tracks. The all-seeing eye has to check up on employees. It's so fun seeing the connections of different posts. This is money laundering, right? The boss is handing out cash money for his employees to play with. It has to be money laundering. The benefits did not outweigh the risks, it seems. I feel bad for anyone going from 10-hour work weeks to Big Four. Somewhat more entertaining version of the guy with the cursed LinkedIn. The boss freaked out. He sent via text, "Name your number and we'll pay you whatever you want." My husband politely declined. The boss then repeatedly called and asked him if he was a bad boss and said he just felt so insecure with my husband leaving. This is so hilarious to me. Naming the boss, Michael, was a nice touch. Chemist here. I want to read your kid books. Nice work all around. And I hope your lives continue to grow happier. Question for Mormons, Exmos, people living in Utah. Does the boss's ability to check his employees' worthiness status indicate that the boss is a member or leader in the Mormon Church? Or is that information available to outsiders? Well, the first volley from me would be to contact authorities and complain that I was illegally wiretapped. Name names and let the chips fall. I audited a union plant back in the day. The union steward suddenly called a work stoppage. They discovered a listening device in the ladies' can. The police were called. Police found a mini cam. We were ordered to turn over the books which contained an invoice for surveillance equipment. Owner's brother said that he purchased the equipment so that there wasn't idle gossip in the can, or people taking too much time. Union demanded the owner's brother's termination. He got deliriously angry. Former bouncer and heavy. He attacked the shop steward. Caught himself in assault charge and removal from a family business. He was never again allowed on the property. Ownership sold out within 5 years. I can't imagine how stressed I'd be playing against poker noobs for thousands. The worst opponent in a game of poker is the idiot who goes all in 7 halves offsuit and somehow ends up beating your pocket jacks. If there's anything that Mr. Griswold taught me, it's that one simply doesn't F with the Christmas bonus. Gambling for bonuses is stupid and frustrating, but why would she think it's illegal? She got a science degree to write science-themed children's books. She's so cool.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.